Yes, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Ewan Spence here for All About Windows Phone, back in Edinburgh after the trip to Austin and South by Southwest. As you might recall, yes, Nokia Lumia 620 has been my companion for the last 2 weeks, finding out just how good the entry-level, budget, low to mid-range device that it is actually was on the ground. Now we're going to have a full proper review now of that handset coming up on All About Windows Phone over the next week or so. Nice in-depth, lots of words. Much of it will be going back over what we've already talked about on the videos here, but we'll have that down there as well, sort of formal setting. But before we get to that, we're going to have a little game of 3x3. 3 topics, 3 items in each topic about the 620. Everybody talks about the app economy and how important it is to Windows phones to be part of that, and I think it's clear that yes, you do need the applications, but the 620 is a device that really relies more on the applications that are coming out of the box, the built-in stuff, the first-party applications, the pre-installed stuff, especially from Nokia, rather than any other application. But third-party application that I found the most useful while I was in Austin was Foursquare, and by extension 4th and Mayor as well, although I tended to stay with the official Foursquare application because I think more people would find that when they're looking for the device. And yes, I know there are other third-party options like 4th and Mayor, but again, thinking about the general user, what would they go for to use Foursquare? Foursquare. And look, this is interesting because it was really useful on the ground, because I could tell that everybody, all of my friends would know where I am. I would know where they are. I would know where all the cool, hip and happening places are, where the traffic was building up. But it's a very tightly enclosed environment with a lot of people using Foursquare. Now I'm back home, I won't be using Foursquare very much at all because I'm not going to be in that environment where I'm moving around, where I'm trying to find people. That may change when I visit something like Eurovision, but even then, you know, that will be more a case of letting my family know where I am rather than finding out a friend's discovery process. But it's very important here because it's an application that has a very limited use, and when you need that use, it was there for me. And Windows Phone needs much more like that. For example, last year the South by Southwest organisers did do a Windows Phone application. This year it was only available on Android and iOS, which meant, you know, I had the iPad mini was acting as my reference guide rather than last year where I could use my Windows Phone for everything. Winning that sort of app mindshare with developers is very important for Windows Phone, and they need to work on that. What they don't need to work on, certainly on the device, is the Xbox Music Pass, formerly the Zune Music Pass, which I have been using now for a number of years. And yet again, just to reiterate, there is something wonderful about going and seeing a small band who you've never heard of before, going into your phone, going, what albums do they have? Here they are, would you like to download them? Yes, please. You know, for less than a tenner a month. It's wonderful. I know there are alternatives out there. Spotify is just as good as well, but Xbox Music Pass has the advantage of being tightly defined and pulled into the system, and part of the actual music and video package that you have in the phone. You don't have that with the likes of Spotify. If you did, I know that I think a lot of people would do that more. Spotify, of course, is cross-platform, has that advantage. Xbox Music Pass, I am able to run that on my PCs here, and bless his little cotton socks, the original Microsoft Zune HD as well. So it's cross-platform for me. Finally, the one that really showed itself up at South by Southwest yet again was SMS. Yes, messaging, texting, whatever you want to call it, built in. It was the killer app for me. People who wanted to reach me could reach me with this push messaging system. Again, cross-platform. Twitter was configured to send DMs and that's over my mobile phone number, and I could reply through the mobile phone number as well. Really good threaded interface that you have on Windows Phone. It just works. Again, a core application, and one that people might think, oh, but Microsoft have sat down and worked at how people use their texting and made that work. It's very similar now to all the other handsets, but it's just nicely polished. And you know, you then have the integration with the People Hub for emails and maps and locations and their social network status and everything as well. I just really liked the texting as well. Foursquare, Xbox Music Pass, SMS. If you want 3 apps that sum up South by Southwest on the 620, that's those 3 there. Okay, 3 points about the 620 now as a whole. Size. People who've been following my editorials and all infos will know that I like small devices. I would like small devices that have the power of the larger devices, in terms of processor, in terms of storage, in terms of memory. But until then, the 620 hits a sweet spot in size and does hit a sweet spot in terms of specs as well. I don't especially need the faster processor. I would like more internal memory storage. I would like certain things in the OS fix so we can reclaim the other space. But it works. And also because of the price, it feels disposable is kind of the wrong word, but I don't mind taking this out to the pubs. I don't mind taking this into really big music venues where there's going to be lots of jostling and around, because I think it can take the rough and tumble. And if it doesn't, it's what, £160 off contract? It's relatively easy to replace. Of course, your data and backup, we'll come to that in a second, isn't as easy. And again, the fashion of it, goes without saying, but the ability to switch out these back covers for different colours, I only have the yellow one at the moment, is wonderful. And then of course you have an extra battery, which you can remove and add in yourself, space for micro SD. So you see there, no micro SD, got all the way through without me feeling that I had the need for extra storage. Admittedly, I was taking photos and videos off every night when I got back to the apartment, but out the box without an SD card, this copes. Finally, pricing, which we kind of already mentioned. It is a fantastic price. It's worth like £150, £160 off contract. You can pick it up for free on UK networks such as O2. And then of course you've got the 520 that undercuts it even more. I'll be interested to see how the 520 actually manages that and how that feels. But right now, I would have no hesitation recommending the 620, not just to someone who's looking for Windows Phone, but as a second phone for power user, someone who wants to have a look at Windows Phone 8, what it's like. The 620 is where it is. It's everything. It's a good device which has taken all the compromises, made the right decisions, put it in one package. Three issues now. That's four. Three issues now. Backup and data transfer is an issue. The lack of backup in Windows Phone is really starting to get on my nerves, because I have an 820. I'd love to be able to say, look, here are the applications, here's the data set, here's the game saves, just stick them on the 620, backup from one device, restore on the other. You don't have that ability. You can get the list of applications again, but the progress in, say, something like Farm Frenzy, or any of the games that are out there, or your settings and applications, those are not saved, those are not carried over, those just do not come out of the device. Backup and restore is still something that is vitally important. This is the disposable taken into the pub phone. If I have to have it replaced, I have to spend a lot of time putting applications and data back on it, and even then it will not be the same. Contrast that to something like an iPhone where you back it up, you break it, you buy another iPhone, put it on, and it restores exactly as it was. All your settings, all your apps, all your games, all your little twinkly bits that you've set up in the UI, that all comes back up. You've got to rebuild the live tiles in Windows Phone 8. Major issue. The reliance on built-in apps is a bit of a double-edged sword, because I don't think many people who pick up the 620 will be app junkies, so they will be using, and the people Hub much more, they will be using the web browser much more, they'll be using Nokia Maps much more, for example, and that's good. But at the same time, it does kind of limit the capabilities. You have problems getting DMs on Twitter, for example. You will need to get the Twitter application. Same with Facebook for groups and fan pages. You will need to get the third-party application. The built-in apps are almost there, but not quite. There are a couple of missing areas that I think are vital now. If those were polished, I think out of the box you would have something that could rival any feature phone and would be a very good market leader. So another iteration of the Windows Phone 8 core applications, I think, is needed before you can recommend this as a phone on its own. At the moment, you really need those third-party applications. And finally, this is probably just a personal one, but the colour on the screen was just a little bit less vibrant, a little bit more washed out than what I've seen on other Windows Phone devices, especially the 820 and the Lumia 920 from Nokia. Again, not a problem in actual use. The data was still there, I could still do everything what I wanted, but there was less vibrancy, it was a bit more muted, and that is probably about the only time that I really saw that this device was aimed at a lower market, because the screen quality just wasn't right there. It's still RGB, congratulations, it's still 800 by 480. there's nothing to do with that. There's the nice polarizing layers and everything. So it does bring a lot of the screen technology, but just the colors needed to be just a bit more vivid for me. But on the whole, it's a tiny thing, and if that's the trade-off I have to make on the 620, then I can live with that as a trade-off. I think the designers have done very well there. Right, in summary, I like the 620. Quite a few people have asked, is this something that you would recommend for myself, for a family member, for somebody looking at Windows Phone 8? And the answer is an almost unqualified yes. There are still some issues. Backup is one of them. App support is another, although I think that's less of an impact on the 620 than it would be if you were recommending a 920. But we're almost there with Windows Phone 8. We're almost there. As I said, another iteration on the built-in applications, another iteration on the services, and I think we will. Well, that'll take us to the third version of Windows Phone, essentially, which is Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 9. And how cliched is that with Microsoft? But there you go, that's what it is. I'm Ewan Spence, all about WindowsPhone.com. You can leave your comments in this video back there. We're taking more textual look at the 620 over the next week, so do pop back to the site and have a look at that. Comments are always welcome, and we'll do our best to answer all of those either in the comments or in the article itself. Thanks for watching. South by Southwest is next year. I've no idea what phone I'm going to pick up then, but there's a lot more phones that are coming back from places like MWC through the general releases as well. HTCs, Samsungs, Nokias as well coming through. A whole bunch of second and third line manufacturers coming up as well. We're going to be looking at all of those over the next weeks and months on the website, so do keep watching. But for now, ta-ra and stay safe.